Hi, everyone. It's Reverend Laurie with our Wednesday Love Notes. I hope you are all doing wonderfully well as we just kind of drift into this beautiful fall season, which I love so much. There's so much happening in the fall time, especially in Florida. It's when the festivals come to life and the weather cools down and all the snowbirds come back and the towns wake up again. It's an exciting time. And I remember many years ago, it was actually the week of a very important election, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years ago. And we had the privilege of being in Mexico at the time on the Yucatan Peninsula in a little town that was not a tourist town, is not a tourist town, at least not at the time, called, oh, what was the name of that? Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen. And it was a little tiny town, but there was this fabulous hotel, a resort that was built just as a timeshare. There were no other tourism places or hotels or retreats or anything in the area. So we really had access to the town. This was a gift given to us, my husband and I, by one of my congregants who owned one of the timeshares in this fabulous resort building. She gave it to us for the week in November that she couldn't be part of. So for actually, it was about 8 or 9 days. There we were at this fabulous resort that touched the edge of the ocean. And we just had time to be in the little villages and meet these extraordinary people. And we were there the last part of the week of October and the first part of November, that time span. And when we arrived, everywhere we went, we saw these fabulous kind of monument um, creations in the stores, in on the sidewalks, by the people's places of business. These little towns would shut down on the weekends. There were no stores open, and the families would come to the center of town and play music and put more items on these little decorations, these little things they were creating throughout the week. And they would sing together and laugh together and eat together. And I just fell in love with these people. I would go out on the balcony. We had this fabulous balcony in this beautiful resort. And I could watch them early in the morning as the sun was coming up. I'd have my tea out there and I could see them walking to work. They didn't have cars, some had bicycles, but they would be holding hands and singing, dressed in their maids' uniforms or their valet uniforms or their bellhop uniforms. I mean, it was extraordinary listening to them sing. It was as if they were so grateful. And I was just so enamored with their life and their humbleness and their glorious being and their joy and their just sense of respect. Everyone, you could tell, appreciated their job so much and were so grateful to be there for us. And I'll never forget, we were all gathered. It was as if the workers all had the day off. It was a week. It was a weekend. I can't remember. We were all gathered. No, it was a Tuesday night. We were all gathered in this bar at the restaurant. Local townspeople were there, and all of the workers were there, and we were there. And there were 3 or 4 TVs, and there was only one program on: the American elections. They were all waiting for the results of the elections. And this was well into the evening, if you remember correctly. And I was so, we luckily had a bartender that, that knew English. I was so surprised that they were that interested in American politics. We were fortunate enough that we could actually vote before we left in the state of Florida, so we could make sure our vote counted. But they were so um, expectant. There was a buzz in the room. And when the election results were announced, people started cheering in that bar and hugging each other. They had tears streaming down their eyes, and they were rejoicing and praising America and praising Americans and singing my husband and I, and there were a few other folks that were probably to them obviously American, they were buying us drinks and celebrating our unity. And it was so beautiful. And again, I saw another display of these flowers and these candles and this amazing memoriam, it seemed like. And I asked the bartender, I said, what is going on here? And he said, oh, it's Dia de Muertos, Dia de Muertos. And he just looked at me, see, Dia de Muertos. And I said, no comprehende, I don't understand. And he said, oh, it's the Day of the Dead. All week we honor those who have walked on. Oh, that just touched my heart. I had heard of the Day of the Dead, and I knew it was some kind of of a a wonderful memorial event to honor those of our past and our recent that have crossed to the other side of the veil. But I didn't realize the amazing sensual celebration and connection that they had to this tradition. The fresh flowers and the incense and the fruits they would bring out, the colors, the pictures from known people and unknown to me. Bob Marley was one of the favorite photos on these displays, and others. And every time I'd walk into a store, I would just spend some time looking and watching and observing and honoring those places that meant so much to that storekeeper or to that flower shop owner or whoever it was. And I noticed some of the places that we frequented had additional displays each day. They would add more items. So I was so encouraged to come home and start that tradition with my family. So we began building those memorials for the week of Halloween, for that week of 7 or 8 days in between these two great months, to just honor the past, all of our past, to honor the present of because of them, here we are. And so I'm going to share with you just a few items that I will put on my altar. Then I'll take a picture of it for you for next week's Love Notes when we're really in the middle of it. And we'll show you what my altar looks like. But I'm always going to have some candles. I like great big candles. I may decorate this in a fall theme. And I have this. This is a gift. It's a very old ceramic porcelain lady that my mother-in-law, one of my best friends on the planet, she walked on about 10 years ago. She gave it to my daughter, Lacey, when Lacey was about 4 or 5. And Lacey kind of liked it at 4. She had nothing to do with this kind of thing for the rest of her life. So she gave it to me. And I have that on my altar for my memorial to Mama. I have this one for my grandmother. She had it on her little stand next to her chair that she sat in the evenings when I would stay with her. And I just loved it. And I have it now. I have this always, an angel, all of the angels that are watching over me and watching over you. And I'll have many more candles, lots of colored scarves, lots of colored objects and art objects and flowers. And I will have that out, and I will add as I remember these people and events and occurrences and situations and experiences that I've had throughout my life. So I hope you adopt that tradition with me and begin to really honor in a physical way that which has come before you as we join with the entire Latino community in this beautiful, special, sacred event. This poem in my favorite little book, I think, sums up my life beautifully because I am a forever student. I have been a sponge, I'm sure, since I came out of the womb, and learning is who I am. This is me because I will never stop being curious or stop learning about this fabulous home we share and all the culture of it. This is called Advancement. It's by Claude Weimer. Life is a constant lesson, learning. Never do the lessons end. And the more we learn, the further the bounds of our life extend. Life is a constant journey. Never do we reach a goal. But the higher we go, the greater is the reach of our living soul. Life is a constant growing up from the nourishing up from the nourishing sod into the better living, nearer the fullness of God, up from the sod to God. I love that. Keep on evolving. I love you. I bless you. God loves you. We'll see you Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit more about Dias de Fuentes. I don't know if I said it right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.